All right, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. I'm Invetica.eth. I'm joined today by Remy Wah and Torsten, both our core EthStaker community members, along with Leo from the Flashbots team. Welcome and thank you for joining us today, Leo.
Hello.
All right,
My
so
pleasure.
just a couple housekeeping items here before we get started and into the fun stuff. Today's agenda will be any burning questions that the community has regarding Flashbots and or MEV. I highly suggest you submit those either on the YouTube comments stream or on the EthStaker Discord server. We'll be monitoring both of those, and we'll get those over directly to Leo to answer in relation to Flashbots. The other thing I want to address real quick are the POAPs. So this is the fourth in a series of validator workshops that the EthStaker community has hosted to help solo and home stakers prepare for the pending merge. Now, the first three of those series, we distributed POAPs in a new way, in that we accepted a donation that we then, as a manual process of data capturing the wallets that submitted that donation, and then that POAP was distributed via POAP.delivery. That workflow is a little antiquated now. POAP is very, very good about creating new tools and pushing their protocol forward and making optimizations. Thus, they've created POAP Checkout, which is a more automated system that helps us, one, with quicker turnaround, but two, make sure that the people that are making donations are actually receiving their POAPs. So what we'll do at the end of this workshop, we will provide the hyperlink in order to make a very nominal donation, small donation for the POAP. It'll actually be less than the 1 DAI / USDC that was required for the previous workshops. So this will be cheaper, it'll be quicker, and it'll be more efficient. So everyone should be happy here. In relation to the previous POAPs, those will be delivered after this workshop and published as to when and how to claim on the Discord server. So that is it for all things POAP. I want to hand this over to the group here, and yeah, let's get into some validator stuff. What do we got today?
I think we will start with the Flashbots, and we're very glad to have Leo with us. Hello, Leo. How you doing?
Touched the wrong button. I'm okay. I was a little sick earlier this week, so let's see how my throat works. But so far, so good. How are you?
I'm
Doing
good.
well.
I still have some throat issue as well. Um, Tell us a little more about Flashbots. Like, why should people be interested in using Flashbots or MBB Boost, and what's this merge common um doing with all the MEV stuff?
Sure, I'm biased, right? I work at Flashbots and I have a lot of fun here. It's a very interesting topic for me. So this organization appeared a while ago when our researchers were digging into this topic of MEV, maximal extractable value in Ethereum. And this is the idea that the block proposers have a lot of power because they have a view of the transactions that will land on the blockchain, and they can override some of those transactions. And in a very simple scenario, uh, let's say a very dumb scenario, there's a how do you say this in English? I don't know, there's some money for grabs. There's somebody giving away money on the blockchain. And the first person who finds this opportunity collects the money. So there's a lot of work to identify this opportunity. And then this person does the work and sends the transaction to the mempool. And once it's in the mempool, many others can identify it and just like replace it. So there will be like a gas war on the mempool. Everybody just like trying to get this opportunity to have a higher priority and get them the money. But this doesn't matter at all, because once it gets to the proposer in proof of work, that will be the miner. The miner will just identify that there's some free money there and can replace the destination address to themselves. So this extends to many things that are actually happening in the DeFi protocols. So some things can be front run, some things can be back run, some things can be sandwiched, and this is the principle. By reordering the transactions, you can extract a lot of money. And this money, before the Flashbots research, was to be collected by the proposers, by the miners. And this means that there will be some organizations that will be collecting more and more money and more power. And this is a centralizing force, like a wave that doesn't stop. There's a lot of money in there for grabs with these different strategies. And as you get fancier, more advanced identifying these opportunities, then you can extract more money. That was identified as existential risk for Ethereum, affecting the centralization and affecting some other economic balances that were in place in the protocol. So Flashbots decided to mitigate this, making an intermediary, what we call a relay, and then have a more stable interaction between the ones that find the opportunities for MBB extraction, what we call the searchers, and the ones that land those opportunities into the blockchain, miners on proof of work, proposers or validators on proof of stake. So that's what we have been running for a while, but it's a patch, right? It's highly trusted because this relay can steal from both parties, or can grift them, or can affect the blockchain in many ways. So it's not where we want to be. And also, one very big limitation is that for this to work, the proposer has to be reputation. It has to be big. It cannot be anonymous, pseudonymous. It cannot be somebody that can start a new identity quickly, because then they will steal all the value, run away, and come back with a new identity. So it's a very permissioned system, very trusted, mediated by Flashbots, but good enough to continue the liveness on the blockchain for a while. It has worked. It's working so far. And what's fascinating is that it enabled us to do research on this topic. It's new. It's something that hasn't been very much explored. And then we used all this time that this patch on proof of work gave us to come up with better definitions for what this is, and better mitigations for proof of stake, and a plan, a long-term plan on how this is ultimately resolved. I can tell you now about what we have in place for proof of stake, what will come out live at the merge in less than 1 month. But I would like to stop here to see if you have any questions of Flashbots, like right now on proof of work, before I dig into Flashbots next.
I don't think we have much question from our audience, but there's one recurring one, which I just noticed. Some people are trying to build the MBB Boost software, and they're having issues and like illegal instructions, I guess, on older CPUs. And I believe we have a solution for that. Maybe it was not included yet in our guide, but if you guys check on the Discord, you'll see there's a few solutions to build a portable version of MBB Boost. that should work even on older CPUs.
Yeah, this is news for me. I heard it before earlier. Thanks for coming with it. And I think this is relevant for what comes next. So the software on proof of work, some parts of it are not free. Some parts of it are closed. Some parts of it are very patchy. It's like we didn't have an organization then, and we had to implement this. So it's running, it's stable, but it was an adventure. So one of the first things to move forward to do this better was to make more free software, more of our projects to be open from the start, to be more community driven, to be more following the real needs of the people using this. So this software you mentioned, MBB Boost, is the first phase of this evolution from proof of work to proof of stake. And it's free software, it's MIT licensed, and we are developing it in a transparent way in collaboration with consensus developers, execution developers, and Ethereum developers. So if you go to github.com/flashbots/MEV-boost, please file issues for everything you find. Please file issues for everything that's not clear. We're having a lot of open discussions in there. There are so many challenges. So if you're okay, I can start telling you about this new phase starting on MBB Boost.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I mentioned this solution on proof of work, this mediator requires the proposers to be trusted, to be in an allowed list. And then we talked to the bigger miners and got their agreement, their support, a trust relation between them and us. And this means that we could only talk with big miners, not smaller ones. And then the idea with the move to proof of stake was to avoid this miner concentration, right? To have a lot more validators, to have anybody who wanted to be part of this security and earning rewards on the network to be allowed. So that's the first thing we wanted to change. And we came up with some ideas of how to separate the roles, how to add security mechanisms that would allow anybody to participate on MEV extraction. So we took advantage of the proposer builder separation and contributed to these projects, to these ideas, to this research, where we separate the role that the miners played into two. There will be the ones that propose the blocks, and there will be the ones that build the blocks. And we can do a lot of things on the proposer side. This is a lot easier. And then we push the challenges to the builder side. So still a lot of work to do, but what we did and what is ready now is the introduction of MBB Boost. This is a software that will be run by the validators. So the validators will run an execution client, a consensus client, and MBB Boost. And we did it in a way defining an architecture that will be not so risky for the liveness of the network. That's one of our priorities, to make sure that Ethereum remains safe. So this is like a sidecar. This is like an optional thing. People are not required to run MBB Boost. And if MBB Boost misbehaves in any way, it's very easy to just ignore it and continue working as usual. So the non-MBB Boost model is that the consensus client will be executing locally and will request the execution client to build blocks locally. These blocks will be taken from the mempool. and they will not be optimized for extracting MEV. So it's safe, it's easy. Now for the validators that want to participate on MEV extraction and earn some rewards, the rewards that were going to the miners before, they can run MBB Boost. And then what the consensus client does is to request a block to MBB Boost. And MBB Boost will request this block to the network that's on the right side. We can talk about what's in there later. But the idea is that you get a block from somewhere else, not locally, that's optimized for extracting MEV. So it will give you an extra reward to your validator and attestation rewards. If no block is returned, then you still fall back to your local execution client. So it's not very likely that you will miss a block. There are some safety mechanisms in there. Yeah, so we are like 3 weeks for the merge. This software MBB Boost is ready. We have been testing it in test networks and in shadow forks. Now our request for everybody is to give it a try in Girly. We want more usage on this. And by using it, we will identify some use cases that we didn't have in mind, like this, all their architecture instructions, and we can quickly patch it to support everybody.
I think we've been telling our users to try MBB Boost so far, so hopefully that will help you guys.
Yes, I appreciate that a lot. So how is this possible? What makes it possible that now anybody can be a proposer on MBB Boost and we don't need this allow list and we don't need this trust between the proposers and ourselves? The thing is that we are moving the trust to the other side, to the builders. So once a proposer requests a block to our architecture through MBB Boost, they are not able to modify the block. They provide a signed header accepting the block, and then what this architecture does is to give the body. So there's not much that a proposer, a validator can do to affect the system. They cannot steal MEV opportunities. They can just earn the reward that was promised to them. So easy. It's one step on the right direction. There are so many more steps. So now
we have a few questions, if you don't mind me interrupting you. The first one, someone is asking, when will the mainnet relays be published, so that user can try MBB Boost on mainnet?
Now already. Well, so the thing is that there's nothing to do before the merge, right? There are no blocks being built. So like you can connect to the mainnet already, but the first time you will propose a block and you will earn the MEV rewards is after the merge. So this is ready. Our mainnet relay is ready. There are some other organizations running relays. What I suggest to do these weeks is to try it on Girly and then make sure that your mainnet setup is configured. If your Girly test works, it's highly likely that your mainnet setup will work, but there's no way to test it before the merge. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. I have my own personal question here. What about the in protocol PBS, this protocol builder separation that we've been hearing about? Is Flashbots going to be involved into that research as well?
Yes, this is fundamental for what we do. So I mentioned that we were doing this proposer builder separation as a first step to remove the trustlessness and centralization of the system. So with MBB Boost, we do have proposer builder separation, but this is, as I said, a sidecar. This is not defined into the protocol. And this is on purpose because we are not ready to engrave this in the protocol. We are not ready to make this completely permissionless. This is open research that will take from 2 to 5 years, depending on the things that we find. It's not simple topics. I can go in there, like explaining what is this relay, why is this necessary, and what we are doing to try to remove it. Once we remove the relay, once there's no mediator, we will be ready to put this design into the protocol. And as I mentioned at the start, this idea of externalities, things that can be exploited, that were not designed in the protocol. This is what we are doing. Once we find one, we illuminate it, we yell like this is happening, then we explore it, we research it, then we do prototypes on it. Once we are happy with the design, then it's no longer an externality. This is well known, this is accepted, it's clear the balances on power that it affects, and then we can design to keep this power in check. In protocol PBS will take a while, but it's something our researchers are hard at work.
Awesome. That's very good to hear. For people who don't know how to use MBB Boost or never tried it before, I just pasted again the link to our guide to prepare for the merge, and there's a section in there where you can see how to try MBB Boost on Girly. So we highly suggest and encourage people to go there and try it for themselves and see how it works, and like what happens when your own validator propose a block that comes from one of the relays that you can use.
All right, so more words. I'm almost done painting the whole picture. This is long, right?
Go ahead.
Not easy. So we talked about MBB Boost, how it enables anybody to participate on this MBB Boost extraction because you sign a header and then you get the body and you cannot modify the body. This means you cannot replace destination addresses, you cannot steal body. But there's still a part that it's not completely solved. This is the part that it's trusted, and it's the part we're prototyping and experimenting. So what MBB Boost does is to request the block to a relay or to a group of relays. And the relay is still a mediator. There's still a part that requires trust in here, and it's the block building section. So this is the part that cannot be fully permissionless yet, and it's what needs a lot of more research and experimentation, because once a builder prepares a block, they can tell the validator, if you accept this block, you will earn 3 ETH. And then the validator signs the header, but they don't see the block. So this could have been a lie. This could have been just to trick them, to grief them in different ways. So the builder uses the relay as an escrow, as a trusted party that can inspect the body, the transactions, without stealing them. And this has been the role of Flashbots for more than a year on proof of work. So we have proof that we don't care about stealing MBB opportunities. We care about the research around this and understanding better designs.
But at the same time, you'd like to not be trusted, right? Gesundheit.
Yes, very much so. As it was shown by all the events the past 2 weeks, being at the center is not super nice. And then we become liable and there's risk. And then we have to deal with this. We have to explain to people what we are doing, why we are doing it. This is temporary. This is the best solution we have come so far. But yeah, we want to be playing a whole different role that's not mitigating or being mediators.
Perfect. If we still want to show Geth to Bezu, I think we kind of need to do that.
All right. Well, I just want to thanks Leo again for joining us. Thanks for your wisdom. Thanks for sharing all the details about Flashbots. For people who wants to learn more about it, we suggest you go to the Flashbots MBB Boost GitHub. That's where you'll learn most of what you want to know about MEV and MEV Boost. We also have our own guide to install MEV Boost if you have your own validator on Girly. And that's pretty much it. Thanks, Leo. If you want to still hang out with us, you're more welcome. You're welcome to do so. We will go to my own screen sharing, and I will show you guys how to do a Geth to Bezu migration. So I've got this machine here. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. All right. Well, before talking about this Geth to Bezu migration, I just want to talk about this recent Ethereum blog post about the Mainnet merge. So if you don't know about it, the merge is also coming on Mainnet. So let me just go ahead and paste this on our own chat here. So there's a few dates that you should be aware of. You should update your clients before September 6th at 11:34 UTC. So make sure to update your clients and make sure that you've got one of these versions for your clients. This is not optional. You will need to update your clients and potentially configure them to be ready for the merge. So you'll have to do this. And
what kind
what
of
else?
negative repercussions am I looking at as a home staker if I happen to not do this?
That's a very good question. So if you don't upgrade it, if you don't configure your clients for the merge, the likely scenarios is that your validators will be offline and you will accrue offline penalties. So that's the most likely scenarios. So if you don't want to get penalized, you got to be ready for the merge. You got to update your clients, and then you have to configure them for the merge. So there's a few configuration that you need to do. We've talked about them in the past workshops, and we have our guides, as I've mentioned a few times already. You should definitely have a look at those, and you should check to make sure that you're ready for the merge. One very interesting section here, they multiplied the bounties for bugs found in the different clients. So if you're a researcher, if you're a developer, and you think you can find a critical bug in one of the clients, or maybe even in the specs, I guess.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah,
Anything merge impacting.
you could it could be worth up to $1 million. So
Yeah,
that's very
bounties have been
interesting.
quadrupled for the merge. If you are the kind of person that can find a glaring bug, and to be clear, what just happened with Geth would qualify, but the Geth team took it away from you. They found it themselves.
Yeah.
But that would qualify. It's not a vulnerability, but it's a major impacting bug that could have been $1 million right there.
Absolutely. So check out the bug bounty program. Maybe there's something for you as well there. In this blog post, there's a few frequently asked questions. So make sure to check those as well. These are most of the questions that we've been talking about, so I won't go over them again. So let's go ahead and switch to the migration part of this workshop. We haven't been doing a lot of technical stuff, but this is one. I've got this machine here. This is a machine that is currently running Geth. So if I check with my Geth service, I should be seeing something that's running. There you go. I've got this Geth client that's running on Girly right now. And I guess it's still syncing. But let's say I want to switch my execution client. We haven't done any demo on that. Let's say I want to switch from Geth to Bezu on this machine. What would I do? So one of the first thing I could do, like the general concept of it would be to shut down my Geth instance, maybe delete the Geth database, maybe delete the service. And then once I'm done with that, all I would have to do is install Bezu, right? So that's what I'm going to show here. Someone is saying that my volume might be too low. Do you guys have any issues?
I
Me?
don't, but I'm not sure
All right,
how
maybe.
it comes through on YouTube.
Yeah.
So Remy, quick question for you.
Yep.
Leading question. So say you do this and you just shut Geth down, and you resync Bezu. Will you miss attestations?
So that's a very good question. So on any network that is pre-merge, and I believe the only one left is Mainnet, that's not such a main issue because execution data is not such in a big requirements to run a validator setup. Actually, the task needed, the task that needs the execution data on a network that is pre-merge are very low and very infrequent. So if you're doing this on mainnet, there's no big issue. Like it should be fine for most of the tasks that your validator needs. If you do this on any testnet, like on testnet that had the merge happen already, like on Girly, your validator will be offline during the time that it takes to resync a new execution client. And that
So
will be
if
the
you have a
same.
lot of girly validators, you might lose like 0.1 ETH worth exactly 0 Canadian dollars or 0
Yeah.
euros or 0 anything else. And
So
so then you're very sad.
It won't be a very big impact on Girly because it's all fake money, but like on mainnet you should think about doing this before the merge, right? Because
Yeah,
if you
so that's I think what we're saying, right? On mainnet, the time to do this is now. And if
yeah,
Geth corrupted your database, this is a perfect moment because you need to resync
absolutely.
anyway. Just do it.
I believe we had a few people in the chat talking about like what they should be doing with the recent Geth issue. And maybe we'll talk about this
Yeah, we
after
can
this.
if we have a little bit of time. Let's
Yeah.
just keep going with your demo here.
So first of all here, I'm gonna stop my service, right? So I'm gonna stop Geth from running and I'll wait until the service is stopped here and I'll disable it because I don't want Geth to be running anymore. So it won't run again when I restart my system. So the next step here could be to delete what Geth has already been using as in terms of like database. So
So
I
one
could
question
do
here was, couldn't you just sync Bezu in parallel? And the answer is, of course you can. But do you
yes.
have the disk space? Do you have the IOPS? Do you really want to? Like
Yeah.
right now, it doesn't hurt you to just blow Geth away and do Git Bezu. So just do that. That's the easiest option, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get more complicated, you absolutely can. It's your machine. You do you.
Yeah. But this is a correct approach here. So I'm
Correct.
just stopping Geth, removing its database, and I'm pretty much done. Like I could do a bunch of other stuff. I could remove the actual Geth binary, but like that binary is not
Whatever,
using too
it's not
much
hurting you,
space.
right?
But that's the main gist of it. Like I just stopped the service, I disabled it, and I removed the GEF database, right? Nothing
Do you want
else.
to just show us how much space that freed up?
I'm not sure if I can show it. So
You actually
what?
can, because now you get 17 gig used,
Yeah,
right? And we know that a girly database takes about 100 gig. So that's gone.
absolutely. Yeah. So I could have shown the before and after, but yeah,
Yeah,
you
we
can
know
see
it's
that I'm
roughly
not
100 gig for girly.
using much here. Yeah. So now let's install Bezu. So you could use any guide, or like you could even like look in the docs on how to install Bezu, but I'm gonna use my own guide here, which we've talked about before. So nothing fancy here. I'm just gonna follow the different steps and install what's needed.
One note here, he's installing libjemalloc. This means Bezu will take less memory. This is not required. If you don't have this, Bezu will yell at you. It will still, however, work. So some people were like, I've wasted a day. I didn't know to install this. Don't worry about it. If you don't have it, Bezu will just take more memory and yell at you, right?
Yeah,
It'll still work. If you do install this, Bezu will take less memory. So recommendation, install it.
yeah, and I believe the devs, the Bezu devs, also recommends it, right?
Yeah, they do.
So let me install the Java machine here.
Right.
So
So back in the day, I wonder whether you know this. Back in the day, there were these grave misgivings about Java JRE on Windows machines and how dangerous this is. Is it dangerous to install the JDK or the JRE on a Linux server?
good question. It's absolutely safe to install most of these Java machine on a Linux server when you're in control of all the environment, and like you're in control of everything. So it should be absolutely safe to install a Java machine here.
So the reason that back in the day this was such a hullabaloo with Windows is that it got installed with a default of running Java applications from the web. So you could have untrusted applications run in your JRE on Windows through the browser. One, that default is gone on Windows now, and two, it doesn't exist on this Linux server at all. This will never execute untrusted code through a browser, even if it's like a Ubuntu desktop.
Yeah, so you control everything here, and the default options are well
Default
within.
option is do not run anything from the web.
Yeah.
Only use this for Java applications such as Teku and Bezu.
All right, so now I'm at this step where I will be downloading the actual Bezu binary here. And since like this is a not too old guide, but this version of Bezu here, I believe was superseded by a new version that was released.
2271. Yep.
So let me just go ahead and find this new version here. And we will download that new version instead. So we'll have the latest version. And once that archive is downloaded, we will extract it and we will
Right.
remove the.
So a tar.gz is the Linux or Unix version of a zip file, basically.
Yeah. So most distributions are using this archive format.
And
Here,
another thing that has tripped some people up, I know, why do we even need to say this? You want this binary release here. You don't want the source code.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, some people were like, I downloaded the binary, the source code, and now I don't know what to do. Download the binary release.
Absolutely. And so I'm installing Bezu globally here, and I'm removing the leftovers. And so I'm not going to be installing Teku. I want to keep using the client that I'm using on this. I just want to migrate my GEF instance to my Bezu instance. So I don't need to do this part. The JWT token was already created on this machine, so I don't need to create another one. And I can confirm it by just checking out what's in the file there, and I can see the content of that file, which means I'm good. So now all I have to do is like create my user for Bezu to run under, create a directory to store all the Bezu database stuff, create a user, a dedicated user, and then I'll just create my own Bezu service here. So there's nothing special. I just copy and paste this.
So a couple of notes on the choices being made here.
Yep.
So you saw that Remy was copying a Bezu directory into user local bin. So he's got the entire Bezu directory in there, not just the executable itself. That's why it now says Bezu bin Bezu. Bezu bin Bezu, that's the actual executable being executed.
Yep.
And then the other part is this X checkpoint. I've tried this on mainnet and I managed to corrupt my database. So I'm currently going back to xsnap just to be safe, but I can't say that my database corruption was caused by this. I can't strictly say that. I can just say I have seen it and it may have been checkpoint. I'm not 100% sure on that.
That's unfortunate. I know the Bezu devs directly got in touch with me to make sure that we're using this
checkpoint. They want that.
mode,
yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Your mileage will vary.
Yeah. So I'm just saving this file here and I'm reloading my services configuration and I'm starting the Bezu service.
So you also saw he's defaulting to bonsai trees, and that's definitely what you want. Otherwise, this is going to take way too much space on disk.
And let's check out if my Bezu service is running here. So I can see that the service is still active. And I can see a few logs here, but if I want to see logs in a better way, I'll first enable the service so that it starts, that it restarts when my machine starts. And I'll check the logs here to see if there's anything special that I can see.
I see bears. That's pretty special.
That's a weird one, but I see that it's connecting with peers, so I guess I'm done now. Now, one of the other things I could do is check on my beacon node here, which is Lighthouse. See if Lighthouse is complaining about any connection with Bezu.
It should complain actually.
Yeah, so it's complaining right now, saying that my execution node is not in sync, which makes sense because I've just reinstalled it. But it's a good sign that it's complaining that way because it means that it can connect.
Can you just stop it right there for a second? Chain not fully verified, block and attestation production disabled until execution engine syncs. This is exactly what we're talking about. Girly is a post-merge network. So now all of Remy's Girly validators are down and are not earning Girly ETH, right? This is why we were saying on mainnet, do this before the merge, because before the merge, the impact is absolutely minimal. After the merge, you're down while the thing resyncs.
And so that could be an option for people who had this issue with GIF where they updated to this 1.10.22 version that had an issue. So if you want to migrate to Bezu, that could be an option. If you do, and if you want to follow this guide, the only thing that you would have to change is this part here, the network part. So instead of using Girly, you would just have to use mainnet here.
That's right. Everything else can stay the same. Excellent. So we did have a question as to if I have a problem with Geth, what should I do? I would say follow the instructions of the Geth team or switch to Bezu. So the instructions of the Geth team is install the new client and then roll back to a previous block because you're very likely to be missing state so that you're safe and your database is fine. It'll take hours or a day to resync. That's one option, right? And the other option is just blow away Geth and go to Bezu. So why should you? This protects you. We've said this before. As a solo staker, as long as there is a supermajority client in the network, you are protected by using a minority client. in the case of an absolutely catastrophic bug, which would strand people on the supermajority client on a finalizing chain that they can't come back from, you are not there. You're not on that finalized chain and you're safe. So just from a selfish perspective for a solo staker, it makes a lot of sense to go to a minority client.
And if you really want to keep Geth as your execution client, another option would be to just resync from scratch. If
Correct.
you were within that range where you updated to this version that had this issue.
Yeah, and that should take about, on mainnet, it takes about 5 hours on an NVMe and about 12 to 14 hours on like a SATA SSD. And it can take days on really slow budget SSDs.
So that's still a viable option since we're a few weeks away from the merge.
Right. I'm currently switching to Aragon from Geth. I expect us to change after merge. I think we just covered that yet after merge. When your execution layer client is down, you are not attesting. Before merge, the execution layer client is used for all, for very little. And so it can be down for like months and you might not ever notice.
So do we have any other questions from our users?
Nothing on YouTube, at least.
Okay. And I think in Validator workshop,
we had some comments about people migrating to Aragon too. Aragon is another minority client that could work for you. So if you want to try it.
Yeah, I want to be telling people exactly what they're getting into, because it turns out that while Aragon have been shouting this from the rooftops for the past couple months, the places in which they have been shouting have not been frequented by everyone. So Aragon is going through merge in their alpha version. Alpha in software development basically means here be bugs. They are currently redoing their entire database structure. So this means if you're already running Aragon and you're going now to a merge-ready Aragon, you have to resync entirely. It takes about a week. But now to make this even more interesting, potentially past merge, Aragon will go to 2 more big changes in the database structure, versions 2.2 and 2.3 of the database structure, and they will require, as per the current design and plan, they will require complete resyncs for each of these steps. So there's potentially 2 more complete resyncs coming for Aragon on top of, hey, it's alpha software, things may and will break. So if this is like a node that you're using as a backup node and you just want to keep an eye on Aragon and want to see how it works, by all means, right? If you thrive on the kind of bug finding and like, yeah, I want to be at the cutting edge here. I want to see how Aragon behaves. I love finding bugs and opening GitHub issues. By all means, use Aragon. If you just need this thing to be stable, maybe wait until it's out of alpha again.
So there's this other question by Crypto R3D, who's asking when snapshot generation is slowing syncing down a lot due to disk IO constraint, would it be possible to turn snapshot generation off with some of the configuration flag when
you can
resync?
you need the snapshot in order to prune Geth in future, so you'll definitely want to turn it back on again, right? This would happen if you have a really slow disk.
And I just want to add here that the snapshot feature is actually a very good feature.
It is.
That will make some of the Geth operation much faster.
Yeah,
like
so it protects you
in
against
the
certain
long
forms
term.
of DDoS as well.
Yeah.
And it is required for the prune operation.
And
right?
so even if it slows down the syncing process, I would still leave it on.
I think that is actually the best advice here, right?
Yeah.
While you can turn it off and then turn it back on again, why? Right now, Geth doesn't do much for you. You just need to have it for the merge. So just let it do its thing.
Yep.
It'll finish. You know, if it doesn't finish, your storage was too slow. Be glad you found that before merge and fix that.
All right. I think we have one last question. uh, which is very technical and kind of hard to read because it has a bunch of
Oh,
command
goodness
line
gracious.
stuff in it. But it's the guy is essentially asking if there's like a big difference in the way the JWT secret or the JWT talking file is
Yeah,
communicated
yeah. I
between the
see what
different
he's
guides.
saying. So one creates the secret without a return, a carriage return, and the other with a carriage return. I'm pretty sure the clients don't care either way.
Yeah,
As long as you have a secret in there, whether that ends with a carriage return or it doesn't, the clients will read it. So you're fine either way.
you should be fine both ways. Yeah.
Yes, correct. If you want this to be very, very, what's the word, pure, I would leave the carriage return out because it's not part of the secret. But as far as I know, there's not a single client that hiccups on that because they know that people like to hit enter.
So there's this other question. We're almost done. This is the
We
last
should
one.
be done here. We need to say a little more about POAPs and then we should be done.
Yeah. He's asking. I have Geth 1.10.22, which is the version that has this major issue that we've been
Yep.
talking previously. He's wondering if he can just follow Summer's guide release yesterday to delete Geth and reinstall, and would that solve his bug?
Yes. If you delete it, including the chain data, and reinstall and resync from scratch, that fixes it.
And we talked about this a few minutes ago. So
We did. But it's
so
good to
that's
reiterate. That's
pretty much
absolutely an
it.
option.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks to everyone who asked a question. Thanks to Leo again. I'll give it up to Anvetica to end this.
Thank you, Leo.
You're welcome.
All right. Right. So for today's POAP, the hyperlink to claim has been posted on the YouTube chat and pinned to the top, so it should be accessible to everybody. The workflow here is that you'll go to the URL. You will make a donation of 0.001 ETH. This is a mainnet only for the time being for this tool. This is a beta release of this tool. But the nice part is once you make that donation, it will automatically get deposited to your wallet address that you made that donation from. So it's completely automated. There's nothing that we have to do after the fact. You will, in fact, receive your POAP. There were a very few, just as a note, that didn't receive it even using this tool. And we believe that is just because it was a network congestion thing, everyone hitting at one time. So maybe let's just, stagger your requests for donations. If in fact you still make a donation and you do find yourself without a POAP, please either DM me directly or there is a POAP channel within the EthStaker Discord. We'll be more than happy to take your comments there and fix the issue. But you should be all set there.
Rip your DMs. And also, did we just ask degens to please cool their jets? Is that a thing?
Right. Yes. Yeah. So, and just to reiterate, we did say this at the start of the workshop that the workshops 1, 2, and 3 POAPs, that was a manual process. We are rerunning those wallet addresses today. Those will be ready to reclaim by the end of today, and the post will be made public on the Discord channel. So for those of you who are still waiting, we did not forget. You will be getting those. We didn't take your money and run. You'll get your POAP, we promise.
Which area, if I did want to run, which area in the world would I need to run to live off this stuff for like a year?
Guam maybe.
Guam, okay.
Yeah. But that's it from us. That is all things POAP. Thanks again, Leo, for joining us from Flashbots. Torsten, Remy, again, thank you both very much for walking us through everything and holding our hands so very, very gently through this merge process.
Thank you so much for doing this and dealing with the POAP nonsense and all that. I should say, maybe last one, I'm not sure whether we mentioned it. This was it. We've done 4 of these and we are done. We're not doing any more workshops. We'd just be repeating ourselves. Everything has been said that we can think of saying. There may be other things that need to be said. Others can do that. And you can look at these recordings and see all the demos. And otherwise, you can find us in EthStaker Discord.
you can still watch out the different announcement channels, either from the Ethereum blog post or from our Discord channel. If there's anything major that comes before the merge, and we will try to support everyone who has issues.
Exactly. Thank
Very
you.
good. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye, Leo.
Bye bye.
Bye.